As part of my writing and publishing work on Wikipedia, I've been reading Italian articles and writing about Italians and writing about competitions hosted in Italy. And so I was thinking that'd be fun to share some of the words I've learned. So some of the words I've learned the brute force way. So I'll just be reading something, have zero dictionary, be too ornery to use Google Translate or look it up on Google, and no dictionary. And at the beginning of this, and so I'd just be like, what the heck is this? And I'd be looking for certain people on result sheets and stuff, and I'd figure words out, learn words that way is just like enough exposure to be like, oh, this means this and this means this. Trying to, because I'm looking for something, and so I figure it out that way, which is kind of I've learned a few Hungarian words that way. It's a bit different. The light bulb moment is a bit stronger than just learning it by looking it up on the internet or in a dictionary. So those ones are kind of a special set of words. But I'm going to go through, and there's kind of ones I've kind of looked up or like got the gist of but wasn't sure what it meant, and so I looked up. There's ones that I kind of figured out on my own, and there's ones that I knew that I've relearned, and they didn't, I might have struggled with them the first time around. So this is the Italian-English dictionary that I have now, and yeah, this is a resource I use when writing. If I'm looking at something, I'm just kind of like not certain on that meaning. So let's get started. I have 6 words, and the first word in Italian, so this is the Italian word, is Dopa. So this in English this is one where I saw it and I just could not figure out what it meant. So this is an example of a word I had to look up. It means after / afterwards. So that's one. This is pretty common in sporting, so especially if they're talking like putting things in order. If they're covering multiple swimmers or something like that, they'll use the word dopa for like context of, here we won 5 medals, which came after which, that kind of thing. The next word I learned from exposure and being like, I think this means this, and then looking up, and then that word is tuffo. And tuffo means dive, and that's like off a diving board into a pool. It might have other kinds of dives as well, but this is specifically for the sport of diving and high diving and aquatic sports. Tuffo means dive. All right, the next one is one that I just kind of saw, and I was kind of like, I don't know what this means. And so, sorry, the word is Attimo, and it means moment. Yeah, so like if there's it was a shining moment for this swimmer or this open water swimmer or something, it was Attimo. So yeah, that was one that I just saw and I was like, I'm not even gonna guess what that means. So yeah. And then the next one is an example of a word that I relearned. So I had some basic exposure and learned some really like basic Italian growing up. And this is the one I learned. And it confused me just as much this time around as it did the first time around, because it's usually paired with another word. So the word is uomini, and it's usually paired with donne. And donne and uomini, they're referred to genders, and so on their own it's easier to remember, but when I like, this is one that I learned, brute force. So I was looking at a bunch of results sheets and it's all in Italian, there's zero English, and I'm like, Italy is unique because some of the men have, like in America, those names might be female names, and the women have names that might be men names, and so it's not actually helpful at all to be like uomini, this is one gender, no, I can't tell. So I'd be out there looking for people like Simone Sarasuolo, Niccolo Martinenghi, stuff like that, and those guys are men. And so I eventually, because instead of just searching, like looking at the references, I start in Lorenzo Galossi, baby Lorenzo, baby Galossi. So I was out there looking, and this is one, it means men, and donne means woman. Woman, donne. This is the plural, so this is men, not man. And yeah, so this is one, I actually remember this for the most bizarre reason. And the way I remember this is Italy has a male artistic swimmer named Giorgio Minicini, and Uomini is like Minicini, and he's a man and he swims artistically. And so Uomini is like Minicini, means men. So that's actually how it clicked, like, and stuck, which it didn't the first time I learned it. I was like, I'm gonna get that mixed up if I come back to this language, and sure enough I did. And so that is, watch out for flying white boy. that's uomini, it means men, and that's how I remember it, is Giorgio Minicini. And then we got, this is 6 words. That's word number 4. Okay, 2 more. Campionati. This is one I learned Campionati. This is one I've been writing about games, championships, different swimming competitions, World Series, World Cup. And so I was like, I'm gonna guess that means championships. And it does. So that's one that I figured out just by contextual writing. However, when I first saw it, it was less, that I didn't actually look it up. It's one of those ones that I saw and I was like, that means championships. And then as I wrote about more competitions, like games and stuff like that, I was like, this word is not always present, so yes, it's championships. And I looked all these up before this to make sure that, like, I had learned it correct. And yeah. So, yeah. That's one I figured out on my own. So it's reading, writing, and publishing experience. I'm reading the Italian and then writing and publishing in English currently. And then I have an Italian Wikipedia page. But that like user page, it doesn't mean I'm editing on Italian Wikipedia. This is we're just gonna leave it at that. The 6th and final word is Topo. I learned this before. I loved it when I learned it. I was like, Topo, because I had pet mice growing up, and it means mouse. And this is my nickname for Niccolo Martinenghi. Niccolo. My nickname for Niccolo is Topo, mouse. He's a little mouse man, and so I just call him Topo, because he's a breaststroker, and he's the top. So like if this is like in English, it's like, watch out, Adam Peaty, here comes Niccolo, that little froggy. Oh, he's reaching his hands so far, and so he's not a little man, but he's okay, we'll just leave it at that. And so I thought it was like, he's the top. Oh, he's the mouse man. So there's in Topo in Italian. So I can say I have a whole lot of fun writing about the Italians. I thoroughly enjoy it. Some really good ones. This is like, I think it's probably highly dependent on who's swimming. But yeah, so those are 6 Italian words I've learned through my writing. Now some people like to be like really nitpick at these videos in a good, constructive way and be like, okay, you chose 6 this time, not in like your last video, your YouTube channel, you know, lived through 5 things. Why did you choose 6? So I chose 6 this time because it's inspired by my class rank in high school. I was not valedictorian, I was salutatorian. So I graduated in June 2010 from high school as number 6 out of approximately 500 students, which put me in the bottom 99%, which mattered for college applications. And I was salutatorian, as there was a 5-way tie for valedictorian. So there were like 5 people with a 4.0 out of 4.0, and then I had like a 3.99. It was just me. And so there was like 5 people, number 6. So, and because our class had approximately 500 students, so which shut me out with 100% of the undergraduate institutions I applied to for college. I was not accepted for a reason, like 3 reasons. 1, I was not in the top 5 of my graduating class from high school. 2, I was the only non-4.0 grade I got in all of high school. Just 1 I got in my last year of high school. Okay, I would, and then kind of tied to that, I don't know how they got this, but for some reason it was used, was I was in the bottom 5 of my keyboarding class in elementary school, which is like 7 or 8 years old. They actually searched this stuff up in a database. It's that actually being in the bottom, and it was like bottom 5 at the midway point through the semester, and I was also bottom 5 at the end, but I still passed. It was like elementary school. They got us started early, 7, 8 years old, on computers, and it was a public school. And yeah, those 2 things they found to be correlated. Okay, if they're not improving in elementary school and then they dip at the end towards high school, they didn't want students like that kind of thing. They wanted people with an upward trajectory, like that showed if they didn't have an A grade, they got it their freshman year, not their senior year, that kind of thing. So that being in the, you know, top 2%, but not top 1%, closed a whole lot of doors. Was not viewed good enough by, I applied to like 12 schools and got into like 4. So I got rejected from like 8 institutions like Stanford University, Brown University, University of Chicago, Washington University, and St. Louis. I got rejected from all those for not being top 5. Okay, plus these other things. But there's a moral of the story of it was a really competitive year and it mattered, and I didn't measure up. So that's the inspiration for the count. Yep. So there we go. 6 Italian words I have learned through my writing and publishing, and why I chose the count number 6.